So, yeah, before going to the film, could you please tell me a little bit about your personal journey and also your name also? What does this name Ekarshi means?
Ekarshi is actually it's a Sanskrit word. It actually means one who travels alone,
Okay.
like like how the sun travels alone.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so, just Ekarshi means the one who
Okay.
travels alone.
Okay. Okay.
Anand is basically happiness. Yeah.
So, were you traveling all alone this,
The
because
travel,
it's a long travel
it
to,
is more.
create a film, right?
It is more of an internal travel. Whatever the name means is, yeah. So it is not necessarily an external travel. Internally, you are traveling alone, is basically what the name means. Yeah. Mm, uh, it- the writing part, yes. The writing part is a very lonely process.
Mhm.
When you're writing the movie, it is a very you're all alone, and it all happens inside your head and in your own being. So yeah.
Yes. And, so could you please tell me a little bit about your, personal journey also, where you were born and,
Oh,
what
my
were you
personal.
doing? Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm born and brought up in Kerala in Kochi. So in terms of my education, uh, uh, my degree was in communicative English. My
Mhm.
master's was in applied psychology, and I've not had a formal training in cinema or anything of that sort. But so I used to be a theater actor for a long time.
Mhm.
So from the age of 10, I used to act in plays in schools and all at school levels, and then I went on to join a theater group
Okay.
called
So,
it's called Logadharmi. It's
oh,
called
Logadharma.
Logadharmi.
Yeah, yeah.
Logadharmi
So
in
the
Kochi.
same artist who acted, like,
Yeah, yeah.
all
So
these are,
all of the actors,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, all
from
the
Logadharma.
except for the heroine,
Yes,
except
yes.
for the actress and the character who did Hari, all of them are like my friends from the same theater group, and all
Even
of them are
Vinay
like
Ford
theater
was
actors.
also part of that.
Yeah, even Winifred also was part of that. So, uh, yeah, so I was an actor there, and then some 7 years. It's been some 6 7 years since I've left the theater and I've moved into movies and direction and all. This is my debut film.
Hmm.
So I have.
Debut feature, but have you
Uh,
done any short?
Yeah, I have done. Like there was a competition. There was a competition done by Idea. It was a national competition where I had to do short films on a mobile phone.
Okay.
It was back in 2013, and the winner will get to work with Imtiaz Ali. So I won the competition, and I worked with Imtiaz Ali in Tamasha. So
Tamasha.
that is my only stint as an assistant director.
Okay, okay.
So
Yeah.
after that, then I've done a couple of music videos, and then I was always planning to do my movie feature, but
Mm.
doing a feature film requires a lot of time. I mean,
Right.
time in the sense that you have to mature yourself into making a feature film, right?
That's right. You're also
So,
finding a producer also. That's also.
no, finding a producer was never a difficult thing actually, because I was
Mhm.
very confident that finding a producer is not a difficult thing if you have a compelling story and if you've got something compelling to say.
Mhm.
But in terms of because cinema is a very public art form, like you
Mhm.
even when you practice this form, it is public.
Yeah.
So you cannot practice and be fine at feature film because it's a very expensive art form. It because
That's
there is a lot of money involved. So I thought might as well just slow the process and just be, and because I want to write my own screenplays.
Mhm.
You have to know the world a bit more. You have to travel around. You have to read more. So it takes time. So I was never in a hurry to make a movie or something.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when it comes to Artum, so it doesn't explicitly talks about Me Too movement or anything. But I felt you have
Right.
presented a lot of, a lot of things or a lot of male responses, to that
Right.
movement and what we were seeing in the social media or even in the public.
Right.
So was that your inspiration for the script, or was there any other particular personal incident also that, actually inspired
But
you?
actually, the truth of the matter is, it was never an inspiration. There
Mm.
was no inspiration from whatever was happening in terms of the political movements happening around the Me Too or the incidents. this movie is not inspired from any particular incident or anything of that. So that is the truth.
Hmm.
The movie happened. The story happened. Uh, Around the cast, because like I said, all these people are my friends, so we
Hmm.
went, all of us went during the COVID times. We went for a short trip, and Vinay Fort, who's the lead actor, who's also quite a lead actor in Malayalam cinema. He's quite
Hmm.
well known in Malayalam cinema. So Vinay Fort was the one who suggested me that why don't we do something for these actors.
Hmm.
So the story was made for the actors. It was not like the idea came first and then we went for the cast or something. So
Oh.
the 11 men were already decided. So the
Huh.
core idea of the script was not around sexual molestation or anything, or even it was not about gender study or anything of that sort. The first idea was a group versus individual. What is the
Hmm.
dynamics of a group and what is the internal journey of an individual?
Yeah.
So like what who pursues truth? Who pursues justice?
Hmm.
Will a group collectively ever pursue truth or justice, or is it a dimension that only an individual can achieve in
Hmm.
terms of pursuing truth and justice? So because I had 11 men, so that
Hmm.
was a group. So the
Okay.
individual had to be a woman.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes. Yes.
So then I thought, what could be a story that is relatable, that is very up there and out there, and how can I take a issue that is very prevalent, important, needs to be discussed, and be said in a way which is not at all preachy, which is very gray, which is very real, and which is very cinematic.
Right.
At the end of the day, because you are doing a storytelling,
Yeah.
so that is how things progressed.
So is it like there is a critique of the majoritarianism also? Because like you are talking about 11 versus 1 also. So there is a kind of a democracy that is being portrayed in that film. But when
Yes,
democracy gives space for majoritarianism, it
yes,
can be a dangerous situation also. So were you
absolutely, absolutely.
exploring
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
also?
That was one of the things, because majoritarianism, even though in a state of democracy we consider democracy and majoritarianism are like, it's like blurred lines.
Yes.
So it need not be right.
Hmm.
Even a collective can come towards a very wrong decisions, especially when there are personal things at stake.
Right.
So an individual. So I've always felt that the individual is much stronger than the collective.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Okay.
that was a major thought, like how you said, majoritarianism was a thought
Hmm.
that went through my head. Yes,
So now there are many who have pointed out parallels between Artum and 12 Angry Men also. It's
yeah,
yeah, it's very easy to get and connect it to that film. But I have read that it was not really an inspiration for this film.
it was
But
not.
could you please tell me a little bit about what were the other like films that actually inspired, or some other work,
Like
films or theater or play or whatever that has inspired you to do this?
one of my major inspirations in terms of filmmaking and in terms of I mean writing was Asghar Farhadi. Is
Mhm.
Iranian movies,
Iranian film, filmmaker, yes.
especially Separation and like Hero, and all of his movies, The Past and Salesman, and all of his movies, like how he treats human behavior, how he generates a human tension, and how he draws characters for the audience to, you know, judge and not judge, and like them and not like them. And it was because he has gone very deep, and I have always loved it. That was always something that I wanted to do, and that I was seeing somebody else was doing. So it was a major inspiration.
Yeah.
So, and at one point, the script naturally progressed to a point where 11 men had to discuss a certain thing, a
That's
certain crime.
yeah.
So then I understood that it is going to the space of 12 Angry Men, because
Mhm.
it was a natural progression. So
Okay.
I had two options. I had to, if I were to forcefully change it, then that would have affected the movie, I felt. So I thought, why should I forcefully change it? Because it is naturally progressing towards. And then I understood that people will definitely draw parallels
Mhm.
with 12 Angry Men, but that is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, you said about logarithmy artists becoming part of this film, but could you please tell me a little bit about the casting part? because the other artists also like Kalabam and Shahjahan was part of it, and Zarina, like she was part of it. So how did
Yeah.
that casting part also happened in this film?
You're asking about Shahjahan and Zarin?
Yes, Zarina. Yes.
Yeah, like Shahjahan was an important cast because that is one role who's there in the first 30 minutes and then comes in between and then comes towards the end. So I wanted some because the whole conversation is around that person. So you
Mhm.
want a certain actor who can who can put such performance that you remember the person every time everyone else is talking about him. So the performer has to be that good. And
Mhm.
in terms of even in terms of regional release and Kerala release and all, because he's a well-known actor, you all the audience will remember his face and his
Yes.
performance,
Yes.
and he can pull off very believable things.
Right.
So it was very important that I cast someone who is well-known
Mhm.
and also a great actor. So that was how I went with Shahjahan, and he was the first choice. And we went to him and spoke to him, and he was thrilled about the script, and he came in. And then in terms of the actress, we went with a casting call,
Okay.
and we through a call, and we got a lot of emails, hundreds of emails, and then from that we chose five of them for the
Mhm.
audition with Vinay Fort. So
Okay.
we did a audition, like we had a 3 minute scene prepared for every actor. So every actor, Vinay Fort did the audition, and Zarin was exceptionally good. And
Okay.
I had seen a performance in Amazon Family Man. She has acted in Family
Ah.
Man.
Yes. Yes.
So I've seen a small bit of hers, and yeah, then she came and performed well. Yeah,
Yeah. And could you please tell me about that process of the filmmaking also? Because you had a rehearsal, 1 month rehearsal camp, and then 7 days.
yeah,
What was happening in these camps? And, also when theater artists coming to films, what are the kind of things
good.
as a filmmaker you have to look into? Because that is a different kind of acting that they does
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
theater. So what were the
Very.
kind of things you were actually like?
So when it comes to theater, all these theater actors, they had to transition themselves from the theater style of acting to film acting. And
Mhm.
nine of them, like I said, they've never properly been to a film set at all. So
Mhm.
I knew that, if they were just to come to the set and with all these people around, 70 to 80 people around with the lights and camera and the whole film acting is a start-stop acting. So you have
Mhm.
to, you're acting for the shot, you're acting for a particular few seconds or a
Right.
minute at the max. So in theater, you perform for the whole 1 hour. So then I knew that if they should not be intimidated on set. They have to go through the rehearsals with camera. So we had
Mhm.
a small DSLR camera, and we were doing how we were all doing all the rehearsals. We did about 35 days of rehearsals,
Okay.
all almost 70% of the scenes. So
Mhm.
once it was important that once they were like very good with their lines, when the li- if when once the lines goes to their subconscious, then they could perform the other things. They could do
Mhm.
the nuances, they could do the subtleties, they could all the movements that you see, people are moving around the table and all everything that you see is actually choreographed. You have
Okay.
rehearsed it so many times that
Oh, okay.
then it becomes absent.
It
Then
became
you
very natural. Like we can feel
Yeah,
it
it
very
becomes natural.
natural, and yeah,
Exactly.
you can't pick a single person, or like you can't see anybody acting there in those scenes. There.
Yeah, so that was very important because like this kind of a movie is everybody is looking into the performance, a performance oriented movie.
Right.
So
Right.
one small flaw in one scene would pull the viewer, detach the viewer from the film.
Yes. Yes.
So we don't have any other visual gimmicks, so we don't have any major camera movements or anything or music to tweak or to distract the viewer. So it was very important that it was good. It should be good performances. So
So
rehearsals help.
how like the rapport between the actors, like they were already acting together in Logadharmi. So how did that actually help or help to improvise scenes in this
Yeah,
film?
so the first decision that we took was all of them were knowing each other for some 20 years. So first we decided that we will use their own names as their own characters. We will not change the name. So whatever names that are being used in the movie are their own names.
Oh,
So
okay.
there is always an element of truth when you call your friend by his name whom you have known for some 20 years. So it was very easy for people to, you know,
Mhm.
pick, and I made sure that they are talking in their own accent.
Okay.
I made sure that they don't have to deliver something that they are not,
Mhm.
except for the story and except for the dialogues that they're saying.
Mhm.
We wanted them to stay as much as possible to what they really are, in terms of body, in terms of names, in terms of gesticulations, in terms of accent, in terms of intonations, all those things. So yeah.
Yeah. So now, it actually talks progressive politics. So do you think that, you know, like presenting ideas like this, or talking, maybe there may be people who actually, tag it as a feminist film also. So is it like a big responsibility on the filmmaker? Because people have that intention to associate art with artists, and like is it like putting a lot of pressure on your personal life also? Like, it, is there a possibility that you see on, uh, like putting a
the
responsibility on your personal life?
the personal life, in a sense, like I don't know, I was speaking to some other journalists also. I was saying this because you know just talking and speaking politically correct things is a very easy thing.
Hmm,
You can easily talk the right things if you
hmm,
have a
hmm,
common sense, if you know what is going on around, and if you're reading the newspapers, and if you can always play to the gallery, you can
hmm.
always play to the trend, and you can look like a very politically correct person.
Right.
But to live a politically correct life um, is a very complex thing,
Hmm,
and
hmm,
I honestly don't know what is political correctness. I don't know,
hmm,
and I have no intention of preaching any political correct. I just wanted to do a compelling story.
hmm, hmm,
I
hmm,
just wanted to do a compelling film.
hmm, hmm.
So I don't know, like
And it was
my if you
natural.
look,
Yeah, it was
yeah, yeah,
naturally
if you
coming into
look
you.
deep, yeah, it was actually coming. And if you look deep into the people, all the men over there, you cannot say that everyone is wrong
Hmm,
or everyone is right. It is a very real gray situation. Like when people face complex situations,
hmm,
your morale is tested, your sense of justice is tested. That is how we become human beings. Like it is always easy to say the correct things when it is happening to other people.
hmm, hmm,
When it is, when you're just reading a piece of article, what should have been done, what should have not been done. But when it occurs to your own life, things change. See, this is what I wanted to talk through the cinema.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
It is not necessarily the gender politics, and it is not just that is one layer.
hmm,
So
hmm,
we always conceive so many layers in a story, right? So so personally there is no pressure on me,
hmm,
because
hmm,
I think that being politically correct, be it in life or be it in art, I think that is a major fault. I think then you are living a very unreal. You have to put on a mask because you are trying to please people. You are trying to please society. You're trying to. So that is the
because
last thing I would want.
because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
are going through an era in Malayalam films where you see these politically correct brownie points set, then
yeah,
around
yeah.
that script is being written.
Around that, you
And
you build the
last
script and
couple of days back, I saw a movie like recently released in the theaters. I could actually see, like, they have written certain points, brownie points.
exactly,
Oh, here you people are going to, progressive people are going to clap. I felt that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I tried my best, because this is a story around sexual molestation.
Hmm.
See, it immediately becomes a political thing. You cannot avoid it.
That's right.
So you cannot avoid it. So I wanted that challenge. I
Hmm.
wanted that challenge where how can I deal a very politically relevant topic in a very human, real way. So we were very alert about not using any words or statements which are currently running in the political scenario. Or I tried real hard not to play to the gallery, or
Hmm.
not to appear progressive. See, because even the brief that I gave to the lady character, also the female, she's also gray to a point, unless the moment she rises to the moment of truth, where she becomes an individual. She's part of the group. When she becomes an individual is where she becomes the protagonist. So yeah, so it was conceived, it was thought out really hard. I don't know how much it is translated into the movie, but yeah.
So, yeah, one last question about the reception of the film. Because it's not just Malayalis or Keralites who are watching this. This is being screened all over the world. So, what was the kind of response you get from other other states or other
See,
countries?
it was actually it was phenomenal because I was you since you saw the movie, you must have understood how much of a dialogue intensive movie this is. It was like start to end, it's dialogues.
Yes.
So our first world premiere was in IFLA in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
So 90% of the audience there were non-Malayalis, and I was concerned about how they're going to follow the movie with the subtitles because
Hmm.
subtitles are going to come and go so fast, and the kind of reception that I got over there was unbelievably good because
Hmm.
everyone was loving it. And like how you said initially, they were discussing it. They were coming back to me the next day, the third day, and they were discussing certain points. So there was some discussion around the movie.
Yeah.
So and how it impacted men and women, that is something. So I've had 5 screenings with audience till
Hmm.
now. So
Hmm.
and I see one common thing is like how the movie affects men and how the movie affects women is like in two
Different.
different ways. And mostly I see women are very triggered by the movie, are they're more emotional towards the end where they don't want to talk for say a couple of hours,
Hmm.
uh, because it triggers certain scenarios they have gone through in their own life. That every woman that has come to me has said that something similar has happened to their own life. Maybe not a similar incident, but a space where they had to push themselves to make people believe, and to have some trust in them, and where very close people were denying a trust.
Hmm.
So either they had gone through it or somebody very close to them have gone through it. So for women, the movie was very triggering to them emotionally, and men were impacted in a very different way where they felt that they were somebody said, one guy came to say that it finally felt like I got a slap on my face, like because I felt that I was part of the group, and I thought that whatever their arguments are correct to until the end happened.
Hmm.
So yeah, so the response has been great. We got the best film in IFLA,
Yeah.
the grand jury best film in IFLA, and then we got selected at Mami, IFFK, and biggest of all at IFFI, we are the opening film in Indian Panorama.
Yes. Yes.
So that was a big surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And IFFK also
yeah,
like
IFFK
coming
also
back
went.
to
Yeah,
your home ground and you're showing the
yeah,
film.
yeah.
Are you?
Huge thing because it is very surreal, because I've been to IFFK a lot many times as a delegate, and
Yeah.
and and even to IFFI. So this becomes very surreal where your movie is opening at the festival, and it is a very wonderful thing. Yeah.